Well, Steve, it looks like it's finally everyone's favorite day.
Oh yeah? And what day would that be, Ansley?
It's Sports Mag Day, of course. And on this week's show, we'll be talking about the winning weekend that the University of Colorado just had and the upcoming events that we can hope to have in this coming week.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we got a great show in store for everyone.
It is, Steve. It really is. And so with that, let's see everything that we've got coming up.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the 23rd season of CU Sports Mag. I'm Steve Nelson, and joining me on the desk today is the illustrious Ansley Guthrie.
Well, thanks, Steve. You're so intelligent, funny, and dashing. I mean, I'm lucky to be sitting here next to you. But enough about us. Let's get into talking about some of this week's sports, because that's what people tune in for, right?
All right, fine. I guess you're right. Let's get the show on the road. The football team traveled down to Sports Authority Field to take on the Colorado State Rams last weekend. Colorado had a less than desirable first half, but overcame their struggles to put on quite a show in the final two quarters. The energy in the stadium was unbelievable. Everyone was incredibly pumped for the biggest game of the year for CU football. It started off really rough though, Ansley. The Buffaloes struggled to run the ball, and quite frankly, they couldn't pass the ball either. That being said, the CU defense did an amazing job of containing the Rams on the ground, but the pass still gave them some trouble.
You know, after the first half, though, it seemed like something really clicked for the Buffaloes as they picked up their running game and looked for more pass opportunities. The defense also stepped up their game as they got not one, but two picks off the passes from the CSU quarterback. The Buffs were able to pull through and surpass the Rams to the win with the final score of 27-24.
It's easy to revel in the glory of a rivalry win, but the team needs to look forward to Saturday's matchup against Nicholls State. So let's take a look at this week's keys to the game. We only have two keys this week, and they're pretty straightforward. First of all, the team needs to establish a passing game. If the team relies on their newly bolstered running game for the entire season, Phil Lindsay, Christian Powell, and Michael Adkins are going to be worn out and beaten up before we know it. Do you have another key, Ansley?
I do, Steve. The second key is don't get cocky. Nicholls State isn't exactly known for their prowess in the gridiron, but so it'll be easy for the Buffs to get cocky and make careless mistakes. Stay focused, Buffs. Treat this game like you would any other. If the team can do both those things, we're looking at a Buffs victory this Saturday. While the Buffaloes have the Rocky Mountain Showdown in their rearview mirrors, last week's game highlighted the team's defensive transformation in 2015. One of the biggest surprises has been Red Shirts freshman Rick Gamboa, who came up big in his first career start against CSU. Playing for the injured Addison Gillum, Gamboa had 11 tackles, including the hit that led to Kenneth Olugbode's pick six. Gamboa will start another start this weekend against Nicholls, and last week made him comfortable with being a starter.
Before this game, I was coming in just as a backup role. You know, when someone gets tired, come in, play a couple series, and come back out. But getting my first start in the showdown, it was very exciting. Had a little bit nervous coming into the game just because thinking about the game the whole week. But once I got on the field, it was just natural, felt fun being out there.
Well, Nicholls State is one of those teams that it can be easy to overlook. The players on the Colorado football team know that they can't take any game for granted. For added motivation, head coach Mike McIntyre brought out some old footage that some of his players would rather forget.
I went and showed about a minute clip of the Sac State game of them beating us 4 years ago. I think that was, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think that might have been worth 1,000,000 words.
Up next, Sports Mag's own Andrew Hobner and Cyrus Allen are in the studio to further dissect the Rocky Mountain Showdown. So take it away, boys.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fantastic edition of CU Sports Mag Double Team. I'm Andrew Hobner, and with me is our expert of expert analysts, who I guess just came back from a black and white party, Cyrus Allen. Cyrus, I love you, man, but that needs a tailor.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and I will go to a tailor when you go to a laundromat and get out those wrinkles.
Okay, that's fair. Well, aside from our clothing troubles, Colorado football has had no trouble these past 2 weeks, winning against Massachusetts 48-14, and then defeating CSU in an overtime thriller 27-24, the first time since 2013 Colorado has won 2 straight games. So Cyrus, tell us a little bit about what I would say is probably the biggest win for Colorado in Coach Mack's tenure against CSU.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It feels good to go into Denver, get the win, go and beat little brother, and come out 2-1 with a positive record. As you said, it's the first time we've won back-to-back games under Coach Mack, and it really was a big game for us. I mean, we go into overtime against CSU, and it was a big win for us. This really gives us confidence. It goes well to say that we're going to go in with confidence to our next few games, and it'll hopefully help us. And it really showed a lot of areas where we can improve and a lot of areas where we played well. Our running game and our offense played well, but it also showed that our defense is also going to be a big bright spot for us if we want to have any success this year.
Absolutely. And, the one thing about the defense that I thought was very interesting, Cyrus, was the fact that they went behind very early. And when you look at Colorado football and they go behind early, it doesn't necessarily end too well.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, it was 14-0 after the first quarter. Colorado State had great performances from Rashard Higgins, from Dawkins, their running back, but Colorado came back. They played pretty well. Nelson Spruce had a pretty solid game across the board, and eventually the Colorado defense came back, really showed itself, like you see on these plays. Cepho drops back, is able to find Nelson Spruce over the middle. Those are the kinds of plays that Colorado did really well with, and they pounded the rock on the ground courtesy of Christian Powell. He had a really, really fantastic game. Colorado was lucky to get out of this. I mean, CSU had probably the worst special teams group I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, we got really lucky in a lot of those plays.
When Diego Gonzalez, folks, when he can go 2 for 4 and still win a game, and Colorado State's kicker went like 1 for 4, got a kick blocked on a chip shot in overtime, things are bad. So let's go past this because it's in the past, obviously, and go on to what might be CU's easiest game, I think, ever against Nicholls State, probably the bottom feeder of the Southland Conference.
Yeah, this should be a good game for our fans. This is going to be a great home game for us. People are going to get out and enjoy it because we should beat this team. This is a team we should come in with confidence from the last 2 games, and we should roll them, and then hopefully that'll give us confidence going into Pac-12 play. Because right now, where our offense is doing, Cepho has moved into 4th all-time for CU with passing yards, and Nelson Spruce is also on top of all the records, looking good. So this will be a game where I think they can pad some of their numbers and get even higher on those lists.
This is a team that hasn't won in 100 weeks, and they're on a 22-game losing streak. So, we're just going to end this by dancing.
That's all
Cyrus?
I need to do. I'm ready.
All right. See you guys back at the desk.
I'm Cyrus.
I'm Andrew.
Thanks, guys. That was something. While Colorado football has won 2 straight games, a former Buff is putting his name in the NFL record books. He chipped in a 21-yard field goal during the 27-17 win against Seattle, surpassing former record holder Ryan Longwell. Mason Crosby has now reached a total of 1,057 points since his draft into the NFL in 2007, where he joined the Packers after also setting the all-time scoring record of 307 points at CU. When asked about the record, Crosby said, "It's just so special. The history, the guys that came before me, to be able to hold the record is awesome." Football is still in the air, and fan interest is at an all-time high here in Boulder. With the next game coming soon against Nicholls State, our ace reporter, Meg Fleming, stormed campus to find out students' thoughts on the Buffs in this week's Man on the Street.
I'm Meg Fleming with CU Sports Mag. We're here on main campus. We're going to go grab some interviews. So with our win last week against CSU, do you guys have faith in the Buffaloes to beat a Nicholls State this week?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure, why not? I do, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely 100%. I will follow the bus till the day I die.
I'm actually a CSU fan. I'm from Fort Collins, so no
All right.
We can accomplish anything.
We can beat the 49ers.
Have you guys seen the Nicholls State mascot?
Yeah, we have. He kind of looks like a creepy colonel.
He looks like a doofus.
It makes me a little uncomfortable.
He looks like a total twerp.
Oh. Why? Like.
Really? Pretty ugly. What the heck is that?
That's so creepy.
Let's go on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go Buffs!
Skull Buffs!
Go Buffs!
Go Buffs!
Go Buffs!
Go Buffs! Skull Buffs!
Go Buffs!
Skull Buffs!
Go Buffs!
That's all we have today for Man on the Street. I'm Meg Fleming with CU Sports Mag. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Meg. Go Buffs indeed. Put down that phone, close that laptop, and dig deep into that memory bank, because it's time for this week's trivia question. In both the UMass game and the Colorado State game, Sefo Lufau didn't throw any picks and didn't get sacked a single time. So we want to know, when was the last time a CU quarterback wasn't sacked or picked off in consecutive games? Here's a hint. It's farther back than we'd care to admit.
Coming up after the break, Sports Mag's own Nathan Elgren is in studio to break down the further future of the women's soccer and golf teams.
And one CU player is winning Pac-12 accolades on a grand scale. We'll be right back.
Ooh, those stairs are exhausting, so you better sit down and grab a drink.
That's right. Do I look like a commingled contender to you? All I want is newspaper.
Why don't you bring that bottle over here? I won't be spitting it back at you.
All right, boy, why don't you bring that bottle over here to Commingle so these boys stop bickering and ruin my night.
It's a great day, isn't it?
Yeah. Too bad your boat's gonna sink at 11:05.
Don't come closer. I have rabies. Don't you wish there were warnings to protect you from life's risks? With diabetes, there is one. It's called A1C, a simple blood test that helps measure your risk of serious complications. Learn more at diabetesaonc.org.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool, really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately. Because time lost is brain lost.
The University of Colorado volleyball team started their Pac-12 conference play this Wednesday against Utah, unfortunately falling in 4 sets. The next stop on the team's 4-match road trip is Seattle to face Washington State this coming Sunday. The team has already defeated Montana State, Weber State, George Mason, and the Air Force and is now 8-4 in the division. Being ranked 5th in the league gives the Buffs an advantage this weekend when playing Washington State, which is ranked 6th in the division. Season passes are as well as individual game tickets are available online at cubuffs.com.
Although the CU Boulder football team shone this weekend, another CU team was also recognized by the Pac-12. Gabby Simpson was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week after helping the Buffaloes volleyball team take home victory at the Omni Invitational this past weekend. She is the first Buffalo athlete of the season to win the Pac-12 Player of the Week honor. Simpson also earned the tournament's MVP Honors Award for bringing her team to a 4-0 win. CU fans are very excited to see Simpson play this Sunday against Washington State, hopefully bringing the team to another win.
Both Buffs volleyball and Buffs soccer are looking strong going into the rest of the regular season. Nathan Elgren has an in-depth look on how both teams are looking with this week's version of Buff Banner.
Thanks, guys. I'm Nathan Elgren here with the top stories from the volleyball and soccer worlds at CU. Although CU volleyball lost their first Pac-12 game to Utah last night, 3-1, they still have a strong record this season, staying at 8 wins and 5 losses. The Buffs put on a strong performance and kept this game neck and neck its entire duration.
Throughout the 4 sets played, the game was tied up 17 different times. After losing the first set, CU started the second set strong with a 6-0 lead, but was unable to diminish Utah's momentum as they came back to win it 26-24. The Buffs did win the third set, which was tied 9 times inside the first 20 points. CU pulled away at 16-13 and with a match best of 15 kills, won it at 25-21. Looking ahead, volleyball head coach Liz Christa knew a tough loss on the road would serve to toughen her team up for future Pac-12 games. There is no time to ruminate on the Utah game as they prepare to play number 6, Washington, in Seattle this Sunday at 7 p.m. Now on to football, or I guess soccer. Colorado soccer dominated in their final non-conference game against Villanova, winning 3-0. Star striker Bree Hooks scored the first goal of the match in the 6th minute, making it the earliest goal the Buffs have scored this season. Hooks followed up on a rebound of her first shot, made a quick cut around the Villanova goalkeeper, and drilled it into the back of the net. In just 9 games, Bree Hooks leads the team with 4 goals this season and is on track to increase that number into the double digits. With 13 shots on net, having more possession of the ball, and keeping the shutout intact with crucial saves, this game was the strongest performance from the Buffs soccer team yet. CU is now 6-2-1 this season and will carry the high energy they displayed against Villanova into the rest of the regular season. That's all for Buff Banner this week. I'm Nathan Elgren. Back to you guys.
The CU women's soccer team faced off against Villanova last Sunday and came out with their 6th win of the season. Colorado got ahead early when junior Bree Hooks scored the first goal of the game just minutes in. From there, the Buffaloes dominated, holding the Wildcats to only 6 shots. Sophomore Brittany Stark scored the final goal in the 77th minute, making the game a shutout.
After showing their championship-level talent last weekend against Villanova, the CU soccer team will be entering Pac-12 play on a high note. The Buffs' first conference opponent will be the University of California, who they play on Sunday, the 27th. Colorado is 6-1-2 coming into the Pac-12 schedule, one of their best non-conference finishes in recent years. While the conference is one of the best of all college soccer, head coach Danny Sanchez welcomes the challenge, believing that his team is ready for what's ahead.
Results. The good thing with Pac-12 play is it presents opportunities to get results against good teams. So every team will have a very good RPI and will be a tournament bubble team at worst case, or a tournament for sure team. So we have opportunities to build a resume for sure.
We'll have to take another break, but when we return, CU hockey is back.
And the tennis team hosted a tournament here in Boulder. This and more when we return.
Listen to me just a second. We don't want to be at your party any more than you want us here.
What could we have done to avoid this?
Keep the noise down so no one complains.
Hey, guys, keep it down. The neighbors are complaining.
Make sure anyone drinking alcohol is at least 21.
You sure you're old enough?
And finally, make sure that you don't have too many people.
Man, that would have been easy. I wish I had known the rules. Now you know. Avoid trouble. Know the rules.
We want to see our children succeed. But setting easy goals for our kids creates the toughest obstacle they'll ever face. Because succeeding in the real world isn't easy. Help the effort to raise standards in America's public schools. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
She is one of America's toughest drug enforcement agents. Last year, she helped convict 90 drug dealers, seize several tons of crack and marijuana, and close down 10 major drug operations. She is a 68-year-old grandmother named Irma. She set up a community drug watch that is not only changing her neighborhood, but its future. There are many ways to help in your community. Call the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
Lewis and Clark, great explorers. Hi,
I'm Thomas Jefferson. Would you check out the West for me? Oh, sure. And they take their keelboat up the Missouri. Oh, Buffalo. Then they built Fort Mandan. They're at 1804. Made some friends along the way. I'm Sacagawea. Through the Columbia Gorge.
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
The sweet Pacific Ocean. Yeah!
The women's basketball schedule for 2015 was announced last Monday, featuring a tough set of in-conference games that has the team excited to be tested. Coach Lappy and the Buffs will be aired on the Pac-12 network 16 times during the regular season, setting a new school record. CU's first contest is an exhibition at home against USC Aiken on November 7th, and they will make their Pac-12 debut against Washington on January 2nd, also on their home court. Make sure to come out to support your Buffs. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams held steady in the latest USTF-CCCA coaches poll. The men stayed ranked at first overall, while the women continued to hold the third spot behind New Mexico and Iowa State. Zach Perrin led the men in their last competition in Fort Collins, placing first overall in the race. The women were led by Maddie Alm, who finished in third place. Together, the teams had 11 top 25 finishes. The next meet for the Buffs will be the 30th annual Rocky Mountain Shootout right here in Boulder, which marks their only local appearance of the year.
The women's lacrosse season is beginning soon. Next weekend, they will be going into their Play Day tournament where they will be going up against Michigan, Northwestern, and Marquette. This season is only their third as an inaugural team, and last year they finished with a record of 11 wins to 8 losses. With the new season, head coach Ann Elliott also announced the hiring of 2 new assistant coaches, Alex Frank and Kyla Kempney. So with some extra help, the Buffs have high hopes for the coming year.
The CU women's golf team came in second place after competing in the East and West Match Play Challenge hosted by the University of Wisconsin on Tuesday. In the championship game against Oregon, CU fought hard until the last few holes when Oregon crept ahead by 3 with 2 holes left to go. The women's golf team will be back on the course September 27th when they host their annual Desperado Classic.
The club team here at CU started their season this week against the University of Northern Colorado Bears. The team looks really strong and poised to have a very good season. Before this season, the Buffs received some excellent transfer acquisitions. There were a few players from Division I team from Massachusetts and a couple players from the Division I club powerhouse Arizona State Sun Devils. Freshman forward Luke Carter comes to the school from Toronto, Ontario, and led his team last year to the league championship. The Buffs are looking to improve upon a 17 win to 15 loss record and a 16th place finish in the American Collegiate Hockey League from last season. The tennis team hosts the Colorado Invitational Tournament this weekend at the South Tennis Complex. Joining the Buffaloes are Georgetown University, the University of New Mexico, and Colorado State. The Buffs dropped the first 4 doubles matches they played, giving them a 0-4 start for the tournament through 2 rounds. The Buffs are hoping to improve through the rest of the tournament with singles play starting later in the weekend. Coach Nicole Kennelly is confident that the team can turn their play around and start winning some matches.
Don't burn out, fans, because your Buff athletes are on fire. Catch this week's wins with, I'm reading the T's that we're supposed to roll right now.
What? Sound up.
Down and grab a drink because Rapid Fire's up next.
Leading to. And don't forget jitteriness, upset stomachs, and disrupted sleep. With caffeine, going to the bathroom is the least of your problems.
Honey, the credit fairy doesn't exist.
What?
It's make-believe. Nobody left anything under your pillow.
If there's no credit fairy, then we'll make our credit score go up.
We will, by doing things like paying our bills on time.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
What?
This isn't where you want to be. Don't use a fake ID.
They said I would be more focused. They said I'd get better grades. It's nothing like they told me. It's not what you expected. Don't abuse prescription drugs.
This week on Sports Mag, we have a special one-man athlete of the week. It should be pretty easy to guess. That's right, it's Diego Gonzalez. The former soccer player switched to football and became the star of the Rocky Mountain Showdown by clinching a win for the Buffs in overtime. Though the kicker did miss his first attempt at a field goal from the 48-yard line, Gonzalez proved second time's a charm and scored from 32 yards. Despite his upperclassman status, this is his first game winning kick, and against CSU no less.
Steve, I don't know about you, but I think it's sweltering in here. Can you feel that heat? I think the viewers at home can definitely feel this. That must mean that Aaron Sullivan is here to bring us this week's edition of Rapid Fire. So Aaron, over to you before I begin melting or something.
Thanks, guys. I'm Aaron Sullivan with this week's edition of Rapid Fire. 4 sports, many games, and all victory for Boulder this week. Let's recap. Women's volleyball dug into the Omni Invitational with wins against Weber State and Montana State, where junior Sierra Simpson recorded her 1,000th career dig. Gabby Simpson also had a 16-kill game against George Mason, ending the affair 25-6. The girls then capped the weekend with a sweep against Air Force. Saturday spotlight, of course, went to the Rocky Mountain Showdown, where CU football defeated Colorado State 27-24. CU's defense made bold moves to outscore the Rams in an exciting overtime brawl. Over at Prince-Up Field, women's soccer dominated Villanova. In the second half, they shut them out for a 3-0 win. Wisconsin hosted the CU women's golf team for the East and West Challenge, where Esther Lee shot a record 8 under 64 par, winning the medalist honors and helping the team go 7-0 in the standings for match play. All right, we'll drop these while they're still hot. Until next week on Rapid Fire, I'm Aaron Sullivan. Thanks, guys.
Put away those smartphones and close that laptop. Close it, I say. Why? Because it's time for us to bring you the answer to this week's trivia question. In case you need a refresher, our question was, when was the last time the Buffaloes didn't allow a single interception or sack in consecutive games? And the answer is, drumroll please, 1989. Between October 7th and October 21st of that year, CU quarterback Darian Hagan wasn't sacked or picked off in 3 straight games against Missouri, Iowa State, and Kansas. This week, the Buffaloes look to match that against Nicholls State.
Here at Sports Mag, we love our tweets, and we love Twitter. Our tweet of the week is a special from a Colorado wide receiver looking for love too. Redshirt sophomore Devin Ross tweeted, "When I finally love a girl, it's gonna be how Jack loves Rose in Titanic." That's quite a standard. And ladies, it does appear that Mr. Ross is single. Here's to you, Devin. Hope you find some love.
So Ansley, did you go to the Rocky Mountain Showdown this past weekend?
Yeah, I did. I was on the sidelines shooting the highlights for this game, or for this show, actually.
Huh, that's really cool. Like, what part of the field were you on?
You're not gonna believe this. I got to be on the sideline near the end zone.
That's really cool. I wish I'd been that close to all the action.
I know you do, Steve. You just wish you were as cool as me in general, don't you?
Oh, you want to go there, Guthrie? Guess who has 2 thumbs and has marched on that field 8 times? This guy.
Oh yeah, I'd totally forgotten that you were in the marching band. I have to admit, that's pretty darn cool, Steve.
Ansley, I think it is. Unfortunately, that's time to say goodbye to everyone at home.
Really? Is it that time already? Man, how time flies when you're having fun. I think the clock started running as fast as our runners on the cross-country team do.
It certainly seemed that way. But for now, it's time to say goodbye. So thanks for joining us, and tune in next week for yet another edition of CU Sports Mag. I'm Steve Nelson, along with Ansley Guthrie. Have a good afternoon, everybody.